Blog Talk Radio.
Mi chiamo Afurakanu, Afuraitkaitnut, Neye Ujira da, Medinde Ujirafo, Kwesi, Radnehmpata, Akan. Akwamumai Maruka Itifi Mu, Ujirafo, Ujiraman Mu. Greetings to all Afuraitkaitnut people, meaning African Black people. Today is Ojira Day, Purification Day. My name is Ojirafo, Kwesi, Radnehmpata, Akan. Ojirafo of the Akwamu Nation in North America, within Ojiraman, the purified nation, Afuraitkaitnut people in the Western Hemisphere. Yet I say we thank you once again for tuning into the broadcast. We're opening up the chat room right now. If you have any questions or comments and you're on the phone line, hit the number 1 so that we can see that your hand is raised. If you have any questions or comments as the chat room is opening up, you must log in as a user in order to interact in the chat room. If you do not have a username, you can sign up for one quickly in Blog Talk so that you can interact. So as we're pulling this up, we're going to put some links in the chat room for the information we will be going over tonight. For those who are new to the broadcast, we have 3 broadcasts typically on a weekly basis. We have Akan and Nananom, Ancient Authentic Akan and Ancestral Religion on Joda on Monday night. We deal specifically with the Akan expression, thus religion, on Akan and Nananom, Ancient Authentic Akan and Ancestral Religion, because of the misinformation propagated not only in the Western Hemisphere with regard to Akan philosophy, culture, ancestral religious practice, and so forth, but the misinformation being propagated from individuals on the continent who have been infected with Christianity, Islam, Judaism, Hebrewism, Hinduism, Buddhism, white culture in general, and therefore their presentation of Akan culture, philosophy, and so forth is infected as well. So we deal with that from an authentic perspective, dealing with our ancient Akan ancestry, going back to ancient Khanat. A title of ancient Nubia is Khanat, the Khanit land. The people called the Khanit people. Of course, we migrated from ancient Afuraitkaitnut, ancient Afuraitkaitnut from Khanat, so-called Nubia, to West Afuraitkaitnut after the fall of ancient Kemet and parts of northern Khanat, reestablished the Khanat Empire in the West. The empire of Khanat was so-called Ghana a couple of thousand years ago because of invasions from Negroes associated with white Arabs and so forth, Muslim invasions in certain parts of West Afuraitkaitnut, and the deterioration of that neighborhood. Some of our people migrated further south and reestablished Akana civilization in the region of today's Ghana and Ivory Coast. And then some of our people were taken from those regions and forced into North, Central, South America, the Caribbean, and Europe. Musuo Kessier, the great perversity, the enslavement era a few hundred years ago. So this is how Akan people from ancient Khanat and West Afuraitkaitnut ended up in the Western Hemisphere. We carry our same Akan ancestral religion with us wherever we have been forced to migrate, and that includes North, Central, South America, the Caribbean, and so forth. Winti in the Suriname region, Akan people maintaining Akan ancestral religion is Winti in South America. In Jamaica, for example, Obia is the Akan tradition in Jamaica. In North America, Hoodoo is the Akan religion in North America. Of course, we've proven that in our book, Hoodoo People, which we will be dealing with tonight. So this is what we deal with on Monday night, Joda. On Akuada Wednesday night, we have Egua Marketplace, and we typically interview a business organization or institution who's serving the Afuraitkaitnut community in a positive capacity, but also who maintain their ancestral religious values in the process. We have published our Okon economic development model, which is a model rooted in our ancestral religious values. And part of that process is to starve the beast and feed the pride. That means on a weekly basis, you make a determination on what funds you would have potentially wasted with the whites and their offspring, and you starve the beast and feed the pride. You take those funds away from those white businesses and reallocate them to the business, organization, or institution of the month or of the week. We are targeting one Afuraitkaitnut business, organization, or institution per week for 52 weeks as an organization and as a group, just as a people. And we have a list of those businesses and organizations and institutions, and it's a growing list. So when you starve the beast and feed the pride because you're engaged in that home economic development model operation, when you take the $10 or $15 you would have wasted at a white business throughout the course of a week at a CVS or a Walmart, a Starbucks, a Target, purchasing products, 7-Eleven that are not good for you, you take that $10 or $15 and reallocate that to the business, organization, or institution of the week to support that business, starving the beast and feeding the pride, then that's an infusion of $10 or $15 into that business. When 1,000 of our people engage that process, then that's an infusion of $10,000 to $15,000 in a black business in the course of 1 week. That business doesn't have to depend on a white bank for a credit line, or for an infusion of capital or a loan. Getting those funds directly from community, the Afuraitkaitnut communities that we were wasting with one of our enemies, the whites and their offspring, one of their businesses, reallocating that money directly to the business, organization, or institution of the week. An infusion of $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 in a black business allows them to expand and hire black people in the business in 1 week and perpetually. So those people have gainful employment working for a black business. It allows them to expand their services, their product lines to us. So every product, every service that we need, we can go to a black business instead of going to a white business for the smallest or the largest thing. So it's a win-win situation for us. We keep money in the community. We employ our own people. We are served at a greater capacity because the black businesses now have the capacity to serve all of our needs, all the products we need, all of the services we need. They can meet those needs instead of us going to our enemies. If we do not engage that process, then by default, we leave that $10,000 to $15,000 in the hands of some white business, organization, and so forth, so they can feed their own people, send their own children to college, and furnish them with everything they possibly need off of the backs of our people. So by default, we are financing our own oppression when we do not starve the beast and feed the pride. So, and when you go to the Home Economic Development Model page, you will see the links to various the business organizations and institutions we've been targeting. Again, that list is growing every week. And you'll also see the links to the interviews that they did with us on the show. You can download the link to their website, go support the business, but you can also download the 2-hour interview they did with us, the various businesses, organizations, institutions, when they came on the show with us, answered questions from the listening audience, talked about their businesses, their philosophy behind serving the Afuraitkaitnut community, and how their ancestral religious values inform their service, philosophy, and service to the community. So that's what we deal with on Abosom Wednesday night, Akwada, for Egua Marketplace. On Benada, which is Tuesday nights, of course, we have ODWIRA. ODWIRA means purification. It also means the celebration of purification. That's in the Akan language, but also in the ancestral Akan language, which is the language of ancient Khanit and Kamit. So when you look in the medutu, the hieroglyphs of Kamit, you will see the language as written in the medutu, the hieroglyph. Jira in the hieroglyph means purification. It also means to celebrate a ceremony of purification, because it's the same term we've been using for thousands of years. Same ritual practices as well. So when we talk about Jira, purification, we're talking about Ojira, or purification operationalizes Nanasom. Purification operationalizes our practice of ancestral religion. And the term we use for ancestral religion is Nanasom. Afuraitkaitnut, or African ancestral religion. In essence, is the ritual incorporation of divine law and the ritual restoration of divine balance. That means through ritual, we incorporate those things, objects, deeds, and entities we need to incorporate in order to harmonize our thoughts, intentions, and actions with divine order. And through ritual, we reject those things, objects, deeds, and entities we need to reject, we need to repel, we need to hate, we need to repulse, so that we can restore balance to our thoughts, intentions, and actions, and thus realign ourselves with divine order. So the ritual incorporation of divine law and the ritual restoration of divine balance, these are the expansive and contractive poles of ancestral religion, of Nanasom. ODWIRA, purification, operationalizes Nanasom. Purification operationalizes our practice of ritually incorporating law and ritually restoring balance so that we can realign ourselves with order. And that is the essence of ancestral culture. The incorporation of order, the rejection of disorder. The divine law or love of order, the divine rejection or hate of disorder. We seek to align or realign every thought, intention, and action, every moment of everyday divine order. That is ancestral culture. The culture of Afuraitkaitnut people, African black people, and Afuraitkaitnut people only. So purification allows us to operationalize that process of restoring or incorporating law and restoring balance. So this is what we deal with on ODWIRA. Purification of cosmology, concepts, understanding, ritual practice, so that we can incorporate these things, so that we can align every thought, intention, and action with divine order, adults and children. So what we're going to get into tonight, the title of the broadcast, HOODOO ADINKRA, Expansive and Contractive Symbols as Shrine, also the origin of Sigils. So we're going to talk about examining Adinkra symbols in Akan culture that includes in the Hoodoo religion of North America. Adinkra symbols, many people have seen Adinkra symbols like the Sankofa symbol. There are hundreds of Adinkra symbols. Of course, each Adinkra symbol carries one or more mbe or proverbs, ancestral, divine, ancestral wisdom teachings that are associated with them. So you see the Adinkra symbol, it has a specific name like Sankofa, and then there's an ebe or divine ancestral wisdom teaching associated with that symbol. So for example, the ebe or divine wisdom teaching associated with Sankofa is Sewo Redifi, Nawo Sankofa Yin Chi, which means if you forget, meaning if your mind leaves you, departs from you, if you forget, and you return, san, ko, go, and fa, grass, return, go and grass, meaning from your ancestral past. Yin chi, we do not hate. That is, it is not taboo. It is not hated to return, go and grass. San, ko, fa. If you forget, you return, go and grass. That is not hated. It is truly loved. It is embraced. It is expected. It is our obligation. When we forget, we san, ko, fa. Return, go and grass. Return to our ancestral culture, the reservoir of our ancestral wisdom, accumulated over the course of 1 million generations of existence on Asase Afur, the Earth Mother. Learning how to live in harmony with divine order, perfecting that and fashioning that knowledge into the fabric of our culture and passing that on intergenerationally, transcarnationally without profanation. This is Afuraitkaitnut ancestral culture, divine law or love of order, the divine rejection or hatred of disorder, and moving forward in that fashion, rooted in the divine function we have as Afuraitkaitnut individuals and as a collective. So, Sankofa, that's one of the Adinkra symbols that is very popular. And then the ebe, the divine wisdom teaching, every time you see the symbol, whether the symbol is worn, whether it's worn on clothing, on the body, carved into a house, carved into a shrine, and so forth, carved into utensils or ritual implements and so forth. As soon as the symbol is seen, automatically the Ebe, the divine wisdom teaching, is stimulated in the mind, the spirit, the adwini of the person. And it reminds you of that principle, and it helps to realign your sumsum, your spirit, with that reality. So that's part of the functional nature of symbols, Adinkra. We don't have empty symbolism. Everything has a function in Afuraitkaitnut culture. So we say introduction, as we're putting the information out for the show, that Adinkra symbols are used to convey ancestral wisdom. And that's just one example. Yet they also have a ritual function as shrines for Abosom and Nananom Nsamanfo, deities and ancestral spirits. Not just Akan culture, symbolism in Afuraitkaitnut culture in general. This is reality. All symbolism is functional. It has the capacity to receive, process, and transmit energy in a measurable fashion. We don't engage in empty ritual, empty symbolism like the whites and their offspring. Everything is dealing with reception, processing, and transmitting tumi, or divine power, in a quantifiable, measurable fashion. If it didn't have that quality, then we would not engage. So, the symbolism conveying the epes, the proverbs associated with them, the teachings that affect your sumsum, your spirit, and help realign you with order. However, they also have a ritual function as shrines, as we say, for the Abosom and Nananom Nsamanfo, the deities and ancestral spirits. They thus become conduits of tumi, which is the Akan term for divine power. The root symbols of Adinkra can be found in the medutu, the hieroglyphs of ancient Khanit and Kamit, so-called Nubia and Egypt. And of course, we're going to address the pseudo-science of Sigils as misinterpreted by the akyiwadefo, the whites and their offspring, the spirits of disorder, those who are divinely hated, rejected, restricted. The term akyiwadefo, adie means thing, object, deed, or entity. Chi means to hate. Those things, objects, deeds, or entities, adie, that are hated, are achide or akyiwadefo. In our Akan culture, akyiwadefo are the group of people, fo, who are divinely hated, divinely prohibited, divinely restricted, spirits of disorder, the whites and their cancerous cells in the body of black humanity, who are only slated for eradication, not reparation. So, these useless symbols, sigils, misrepresented by the akyiwadefo, the whites and their offspring, spirits of disorder, in pseudo-esotericism. So, we're going to put a couple of links in the chat room. One of the links is to our book, Maranechi, Divine Law, Love, and Divine Hate. Just put that link up. We'll also put a link in the chat room to the ebook version of our book, The Okra Complex, The Soul of Akan. And when you go to the publications page, you'll see those. We have 19 books. The ebook versions of all 19 of our books are free downloads for the Afuraitkaitnut community. Of course, we also have the soft cover versions as well that range between $8 and $11, but the ebook version of all of our 19 books are free downloads because the information is critical and it's too important to hold for ransom for people, especially if you don't have the funds at the moment. If you don't have $9 or $10 to purchase a book, we're not going to say, well, you can't learn your own ancestral culture that is part of your transcarnational inheritance, something you inherit through successive incarnations, reincarnations. That's your birthright. We're not going to hold the information back because you don't have $9 or $10. So we can put the ebook versions out there, and they're the full versions, and those are free downloads. So I'm going to put that information out there. The links are up there. First, we want to deal with this notion of Adinkra symbol in the Hoodoo tradition. Now, people know about the Adinkra symbols. We show that they are in our publications, the root symbols. You will find these symbols not only amongst the Akan and Ghana and Ivory Coast, all of these symbols, and they're included within the Abramo, the so-called gold weights in Akan culture as well. Adinkra symbolism is incorporated there. If you look at the Tifinagh script of the Tuareg people In North Afuraitkaitnut and parts of West Afuraitkaitnut, you will find every one of the symbols of the Tifinagh script can be found in the Adinkra corpus, because our people were part of that group. We're not talking about the whites and offspring who invaded, polluted the blood circle, and lightened up the skin color of certain of Tuareg people. We're talking about the original people. When you look in the medutu as well, these symbols you find in the Adinkra corpus. We've been utilizing these symbols for thousands of years up until this moment, not just from ancient Afuraitkaitnut to West Afuraitkaitnut and North, but also into North America in the Hoodoo tradition, as well as wherever our Akan people were taken into the Western Hemisphere. So when Akan people in North America are interested in Adinkra symbolism, this is stimulating our ancestral memory, but also we continue to utilize Adinkra symbols. So when, for example, you look at our publication, Hoodoo Mind, the Hoodoo Nation journal that we published when we had our Hoodoo Nation Festival, the Hoodoo Mind Festival in October here in D.C. One of our books is the Hoodoo Mind and home of the Hoodoo Mind, Hoodoo Nation Festival. We show an example of Adinkra symbolism that you will find, for example, all over the southern United States, as well as the southeastern United States and into the northern United States. Wherever we were enslaved, you will find that those who were enslaved who were engaged in iron work, you will find Adinkra symbols in the iron gates on doors, gates outside the home, windows, and various other things. Whether it's the ironworks as well as the woodworks and so forth, you will find these Adinkra symbols. You will find them in the Hoodoo tradition, passing on that same ancestral wisdom, ancestral knowledge, proverbial wisdom, divine ancestral wisdom teaching. We continue to use Adinkra symbols for hundreds of years, ever since we first arrived here up until this moment right now. So it's not a situation where black people from America simply learn about some Adinkra symbols in Ghana and get excited about it and just start utilizing them, just imitate Ghanaians or imitate Ivorians and so forth. We've been using Adinkra all along, and we want to talk about the origins of these symbols, and not only Adinkra symbols, but symbolism in general, and where do they come from. But we've been utilizing them the whole time. We show images of that, but we also show an image in both books, the Hoodoo People book and the Hoodoo Mind book, one of those symbols found in the practice of hoodoo, not just something artistic in an iron work or a gate or a door and so forth, but utilized ritually in the hoodoo tradition. And now we get into that usage that has to do with ritual practice. So what does the ritual practice have to do with the symbolism? If you look in our publication, and we mentioned this, and we're going to go into detail about this in our book, Modern and Chi, Divine Law, Love, and Divine Hate, on page 32. We're talking about Tahuti and Seshat. Tahuti is the male force of divine wisdom, spokesperson of the Supreme Being, Amen and Amenet. Nyamewa, they are called the great father and great mother in our Akan tradition. Amen and Amenet and nature commit the same divinity. Tahuti is the male force of divine wisdom, the spokesperson of Amen and Amenet. Seshat is the female force of divine wisdom, the spokesperson of Amen and Amenet. Tahuti is also called Sesh, the divine scribe, and Seshat, he's the male divine scribe, and Seshat is the female divine scribe. Tahuti is called Tek, and she's also called Tekhit, and so forth. So we're talking about these male and female forces of divine wisdom who taught us writing. We say, as we've always said, when they say that Tahuti and Seshat taught us the quote-unquote art of writing, that means through spirit possession, the deity possesses, gets inside the body of the person, and we still have these ritual practices and experiences today, and anybody who's engaged in real ritual will see when the Abosom, Orisha, Vodou, Ntoro to possess, or one of the Nananom Nsamanfo, the Egungun, Ubito, the ancestresses and ancestors, Aku to possess, and get inside the body of someone. And if they want to convey a specific kind of message, they will go and grab a stick and draw symbols in the dirt or the sand and direct you to the symbol, speak the name of the symbol, and encourage you to repeat the name they just spoke. And they just showed you how to write the symbol, what the name of the symbol is. The sound vibrations that emanate from that specific geometric pattern. And you replicate those specific sound vibrations, that specific grouping of sound vibrations, you are enunciating the actual collection of sound vibrations that are emanating from that geometric pattern. Therefore, you're replicating the name of that symbol. And therefore, you're activating the energy that's emanating from that geometric pattern. So they showed us writing. They taught us writing because they communicate with us through spirit possession directly. So when we're talking about these deities, we're talking about deities from experience. The Hutian Seshat, Abre Chirifunwate in Akan, and Abrewa in Akan. And we did a broadcast talking about the Hutian Seshat and how they manifest in Akan culture and in the Yoruba tradition and Vodun and so forth. These are deities we deal directly with. So when we're speaking about Abosom Marisha Ntoro divinity, we're talking about from direct experience, not some silly Negroes who think they're linguists and scientists running their mouths about what they read about some crackers in a book. We're talking about dealing directly with Tehuti and Seshat and any divinity. If somebody claims to be talking about ancient Kamit or Khanit or any ancestral culture, any culture of Afuraitkaitnut, and talking about the cosmology, if they can't tell you directly from their experience with the deities themselves how they were able to gather that information, then they don't know what the hell they are talking about. And no silly little credential, PhD, or anything else has anything to do with legitimacy. If you cannot demonstrate through experience, direct experience with the deities, how they have informed your knowledge of the cosmology, you have no knowledge of the cosmology. And most of these fools have no knowledge, yet they pontificate about these traditions. But they've been exposed and their time is up for talking nonsense about the culture, and they're not practitioners of the culture. So, when we're talking about the Hutian and Seshat, these are actual divinities. And we say here, Tehuti, the Habu-headed or Habwi-headed, so-called Ibis, crane-headed, but Habwi is the term in ancient Kemet. Ntoro divinity was seen as the divine protector, or the establishment and maintenance of order through the application of wisdom is protective to us as we work to fulfill our Nkrabeya divine function. Nkrabeya. We rely on the divine laws scribed by Tehuti and Seshat in order to protect ourselves from falling into a lustful, malicious, self-destructive lifestyle existence. They inscribe these laws through writing and also through ritual into our consciousness. The medutu Ntoro, the hieroglyphic symbol. Medutu meaning symbol, Ntoro meaning deity, divine, the divine symbol. Misnomer medu-netra, but medutu Ntoro, as well as other sacred symbols such as the Adinkra in our Akan culture, and we will also include the Veve in Vodun and so forth, were formed, scribed by Tehuti and Seshat. Once ritually incorporated, these geometric forms become talismans, which we can employ to neutralize dissonant energy, inimical vibration, projected upon us from other entities. These specialized forms also become functional matrices performing the function of Abosom Komre, or deity shrines in miniature, also Nsamanfo, ancestral shrines in miniature, whose potency we may activate for our spiritual alignment and realignment when thinking, conceptualizing, writing, speaking, meditating, engaging in Mpai, God, ritual prayer, and more. In a previous broadcast, we talked about the first part of that function when we talked about these geometric forms being scribed by Tehuti and Seshat. Geometric form in any form carries a specific collection of vibrations. If you have any form, whether it's a triangle, a circle, or octagon, whatever it is. When life force energy moves through and whips through a circle and constantly circulates through a circle, just like water going out of a drain and creates a whirlpool and so forth, that creates a certain vortex of energy. If life force energy is projected into a triangle and continues to circulate within that form, it generates a different collection of vibrations. If it's an octagon, if it's any combination of various shapes, the geometric form based on its structure causes the life force energy to generate a specific configuration of vibration. So these geometric forms in and of themselves, based on their structure, when you project your life force energy into those forms, or when life force energy that's moving through space, that's imbuing space, moves through those forms, it causes them to generate and emanate a configuration of vibration. Just like you blowing into a trumpet, because it's formed in a specific fashion, a certain sound comes out. You put the trumpet down, blow into a tuba, a different sound emerges. Blow into a clarinet, blow into a French horn and so forth, the same source of air, but because the forms are different, the collection of sound vibrations that emanate are different. The same life force energy moving through a circle, moving through a triangle, moving through a square, moving through a rectangle, moving through various combinations, the same source of energy, whether it's coming from Abosom and Nananom or an individual, same source of energy, but moving through a specific form generates a different collection of energy. Once that energy is emanating from that form and is directed towards you, it can affect your physical body, affect your spirit body in a measurable fashion. So when Tahuti and Tashat describe specific form, medutu, adinkra, and so forth, specific form, they're designed to affect your physical body, your organs and organ systems, and your spirit body, the shrines within your spirit body in a measurable, quantifiable fashion for your greatest benefit, to realign your spirit body and your physical body with order. They're healing, talismanic, and so forth. We talked about that in a previous broadcast when we talked about Tahuti and Tashat, revolutionary writing. That's that first part. So we said once ritually incorporated, these geometric forms become talismans, which we can employ to neutralize dissonant energy and inimical vibrations projected upon us from other entities. So we talked about that previously. That's the geometric form in and of itself. What we want to talk about tonight is the second part. Then we say these specialized forms also become functional matrices performing the function of Abosom Komre, deity shrine in miniature. The term Komre we use for shrine, Abosom is deity. Abosom Komre, deity shrine, as well as Nsamanfo Komre, ancestral shrine in miniature, whose potency we may activate for our spiritual alignment and realignment when thinking, conceptualizing, writing, speaking, meditating, engaging in Mpaibo, ritual prayer, and more. So not only are the geometric forms can be used as talismans to repel dissonant energy or draw in harmonious energy and so forth. That's one function. But then adinkra, zeves, and so forth, other sacred symbols, of course, medutu, Khanit and Kamit, also function as shrines of deity, shrines of Nananom Nsamanfo, spiritually cultivated ancestresses and ancestors that draw the deities down to that space so they can take up residence there to communicate directly with you. They become shrines. It's like you build a shrine and the deity takes up residence in the shrine. It's like you set out a chair and your grandparent or grandmother and so forth would sit down in the chair. You set up a ritual object, whether it's a sculpture or gua, so-called stools, so-called seat, and so forth, agua and Akan culture, and the spirit of that ancestors will take up a residence on that seat so you can have a direct communication. They are a spirit, you have a spirit. But you have a physical body, now you give them a physical structure to operate upon, and they transmit their spiritual energy in connection with that physical object, so it stimulates your physical body, and their spirit stimulates your spirit, so now you have a full communication. So in the same fashion that we have shrines in our homes, these adinkra symbols, when utilized, can become functional shrines of deities, shrines of ancestresses and ancestors. Nananom, how does that take place? How do we use that? And of course, we use that to great effect in the Hoodoo tradition, invoking the Abosom, becoming possessed by the Abosom and the Nananom Nsamanfo, receiving direction and guidance and strength from them, so that we learn the best means to organize, wage war against the whites and our offspring, kill them, free ourselves from plantations, force the end of enslavement, massacre the whites and our offspring, men, women, children, burn down plantations, find out from the deities and ancestral spirits which direction the crackers were coming with their dogs after we escaped from the plantations, so that we can move in another direction and not get caught as we escape from enslavement. What's the best place to go in the swamps and forests to establish an independent sovereign nation? What kind of animals are out here in the forest that we've never seen before because we just were forced over here from West Afuraitkaitnut, Central and South? We know how to survive in the forest. What plant life and mineral life was poisonous, these new plants, new mineral life that we never came in contact with. What things could we consume? What things could we not consume? What things could we utilize for medicine? What things could not be utilized for medicine, and so forth. We had to learn these things from the forces in nature themselves through spirit possession communication. Part of that process is utilizing these original adinkra, meaning the original form and the manner in which we produce these forms. How do you produce these original forms? In one way, of course, as we said, the deities possess. Tahuti, Seshat, possess, and draw those symbols out. Then there's another form. We talked about that aspect. What about the other aspect of these symbols becoming shrines in miniature? First, if you look at the definition of adinkra, and we went over some of this when we talked about the Aru, or the Aru community, the ancestral religious community. In Akan culture, the term Ka is the same as Ka from ancient Kemet. Ka is the soul, Ka'et is the female term for soul. Ka is the same in the Akan tradition, also Ka, Ra, Kara. The Ara added to Ka is an emphatic particle similar to adding an exclamation point onto a word, drawing an exclamation point at the end of a word. In Akan culture, you can put the Ara at the end of a word to make it emphatic. Ara or Kara. Ma meaning law, Mara meaning law in Akan. Ba or Oba, talking about life or existence. Obara is the emphatic version of that. So Ka meaning soul, Kara, the emphatic version of soul. Mara meaning law, Bara meaning life, existence. This is why in ancient Kemet, Ka means soul, Ma'a means law, Ba means the spirit of life, the Ba, bird, and so forth, the divine living energy. Ka, Ma, and Ba, soul, law, and life, spirit. And Akan, Ka, Ba, Ka, Ma, and Ba, soul, law, and life, spirit. But in the emphatic expression, Ka becomes Kara, Ma becomes Mara, Ba becomes Bara, that is soul, law, and spirit. So Ka, Ma, and Ba in ancient Kemet, Kara, Mara, and Bara in Akan. Same thing. So Adinkra, the Kara is the soul. Ka also means to take leave. It also means a message. When the soul, the divine consciousness, the deity that dwells in the head region, is assigned to you pre-incarnation, when you're a spirit in the spirit realm, before you're drawn into a womb, sent into a womb by the Supreme Being, you're drawn up to Nyamewa, Nyame, the great mother, great father, Amenet and Amen. You're given a deity that is placed, installed in the head region of your spirit, just like your brain is in the head region of your body, in your spirit body, in the head region, the Ka'et, the soul, the divine consciousness. A deity is assigned to your head region to guide you throughout the course of your life. A male divinity if you're male, a female divinity if you're female. That is your divine consciousness, a divinity that you can communicate with throughout the course of your life that you're obligated to, that will direct you as to what your divine function is. That deity is assigned to you and installs itself in the head region pre-incarnation. It's the Ori in Inu in Yoruba, the Sebido and Vodun. Before we are sent into a womb. We're drawn to Nyamewa, Nyame, and this is for Afurakani, Afuraitkaitnut people only. The Ka, the Kayet, the Kra, Krawa, is pronounced in Akan, is assigned to the individual spirit. The function that you are designed to execute is encoded within that Kra, that spirit's brain, just like all the blueprints of functions of your various organs and systems are encoded within your physical brain, within your spirit brain, that spiritual organ in the head region, the soul, the Ka, the Kayat, encoded within that is the divine function you are to execute in the world. We are cells within the great divine body of Aminet and Amen. So if you're an immune system cell, encoded within your brain is how the immune system should function. If you're an immune system cell within the great divine body, encoded within your spirit's brain is how you are to function as an immune system within the great divine body. When you're born into the world, you'll be naturally inclined towards immune system function, destroying disorder, engaging in military functions, policing functions, defense functions, and so forth. You'll have that natural inclination because you are an immune system cell within the body of Aminet, Amen. That's your function. That's your divine life focus, a so-called destiny, but properly defined as function that you are executing creation. That's wired in your spirit's brain. So you're given that function, you're given that message to execute that function. The term Ka means soul, divine consciousness. Ka also means message. Ka also means labor or toil, meaning what you are supposed to do, your work, your labor, your function. It also means to take lead. It means all those things in ancient Kemet, but it also means all those things in the Akan language. So when you look at our book, and we put the link in the chat room, the Okra complex and soul of Akan Fo, when we're talking about the nature of the Ka on page 22, we have a chart of comparison, the language of ancient Khanat and Kamit, and the Akan language Ka, Kayat, soul, divine consciousness, that's ancient Kemet, and Khanat. In Akan, Kra, Krawa, soul, divine consciousness. In the ancient language, Ka means to leave. In Akan, Kra means to leave or take leave. In the ancient language, medutu, Ka means to speak. In Akan language, Ka also means to speak. In the ancient language, Ka means work, labor. In the language of Akan, Kra, and Krabe as well, mandate, function for life's work or labor. In the ancient language, the medutu, Ka, to meditate, devise, thought, meditation. In Akan culture, Ka means to perceive, to learn. Ka in the ancient language is the symbol of arms and hands reaching, receiving. In the Akan language, Ka means to touch, join, perceive by the sense of feeling, the cause to be active. Ka in the ancient language, the medutu, are the arms and shoulders placed on the head. The Kra, Do, in Akan culture are the shoulders, the seat of the Kra. So we show the same multifaceted meanings, multi-layered meanings of the term Ka in ancient Kemet are the exact same meaning of Kra in Akan. Part of that is to take lead. So when you are a spirit going before Nyamewa, Nyame, the Supreme Being, you're given a soul, divine consciousness that takes up residence in your head region. Wired within that is your divine function. The message is wired within that, spoken into your spirit. Ka, to speak. Ka, the soul. Ka, the work, the toil, the labor, your divine function, your mission, your life's work. And then Ka, meaning to take leave. Now you can take leave from the Supreme Being, Ka, go back into the ancestral realm, and then you are ushered into a womb by your ancestresses and ancestors of a specific blood circle. So Ka meaning soul, Ka meaning to speak the divine function into your spirit. Ka meaning your divine function itself. Ka meaning to take lead. All of these things are happening when you go before the Supreme Being, and they're different iterations of the Ka. Same as Kra in Akan. Going before Nyamewa, Nyame, you're giving your Kra or Krawa, you're giving your divine function, the Nkra, Nkrabea, and so forth. And then you take lead, Nkra, to go and take up residence in the womb and come into the world. So this Nkra part of Adinkra, that's the divine message. There's also soul, divine consciousness, the divine function you're to execute. It's all tied into Kra, that part of Adinkra. Then we have the term Adi or D is the same as Adi in ancient Kemet, spelled with the symbol of the I in ancient Kemet, Adi. In Akan, it's Adi. It means to consume. It also means to act. It means to activate, to do, to be active. In ancient Kemet, Adi means to consume, including to consume not only with the mouth but with the eyes itself, to consume or to see, to take things in through your vision, to act, to be active, to render, to activate, and so forth, to practice, all these different things. Exact same definitions of Adi in ancient Kemet, Adi in Akan. Adinkra, dealing with what you're activating with regard to the Kra. You're activating that divine function. You're activating that divine message. So a symbol in and of itself being called Adinkra is talking about a symbol or a structure that has the energy of the Kra, the divine consciousness, a divine function, and then D, meaning to consume, to activate, to practice, to render, to make something active, to possess, to have capacity, to transact, to negotiate, all these different meanings of Adi in ancient Kemet, Adi in Akan. You're activating Adi, the Nkra, the soul, divine consciousness. You're activating Adi, the divine message, Nkra. This is what Adinkra is dealing with. What is this practical application? And how does it take up residence spiritually? If you look at the symbols that we use or the images that we use for the broadcast, you will see these images as you're looking at it on YouTube and so forth. The images that you see for the show on Blog Talk as well as on the YouTube video as it's put up, you'll see we have 4 different images. The first image is the image of a crow, Kwakwadabi, a black crow perched on a pedestal on top of a post. Then the next image you see, outline image of the bird, the crow perched, and so forth. The next image, of course, you see is an Adinkra symbol. That specific Adinkra symbol is called Nokwade, and the term Nokwade means truth. And of course, there's Ebe, divine ancestral wisdom teaching associated with maintaining truth as the foundation of our lives. Now, the reason we use the first 2 symbols of the Kwakwadabi, the crow, the actual bird itself, the black bird itself, and then we show a symbol or a representation, a rendering of a crow. And you need to look at that symbol very intently. Look at that symbol of that bird very intently. We wanted to use that symbol, and it will be part of an upcoming publication, so you can see these symbols in the publication. But this is an exact representation of Hoodoo Adinkra. Hoodoo Adinkra in North America. And we're going to talk about how this information manifests when you're talking about the Abosom Shrine, Ancestral Spirit of Nananom Nsamanfo and Nsamanfo Ancestral Shrine. We talked about how Tahuti and Tashat will possess and other deities possess and carve out an image in the dirt or the sand. That's one way Adinkra symbols are made manifest. And then they become those geometric forms that emanate a specific configuration of energy, as we said. But then there's another way that these symbols become manifest that we can use. The symbol on the left is simply a photograph of a crow, a Kwakwadabi. In the Akan tradition, there are 7 major Musia, singular Abusia clans, metric clans. One of them is the Asona Abusia. Every one of these metric clans, there are 7 major metric clans, and all Akan people are descended from one of those 7 major ancestresses who govern those 7 clans. If you're not descended from one of those 7 major ancestresses, then you're not Akan. And there are 7 divinities, female divinities, that govern those 7 clans. And we talk about that in our book, the Okra Complex. The Asona clan, the Asona Abusia, one of the major Achineboa animal totems is the Kwakwadabi, is the crow. Or in North America, America, that would be the crow or the raven, because they're from the same family. On the continent, it's the white-crested raven, typically. That is a black crow with a white collar, quote-unquote collar of feathers around the neck, near the breast. But the Kwakwadabi is also that black crow as well. So we utilize this specific example because we are of the Asona clan. I am of the Asona clan, so we're using the symbol as an example to show you something. Now, using our specific clan totem. Next to that actual photograph of the Kwakwadabi is the image of a bird perched. Now, if people look closely at that image, you'll see it looks like an image that's just drawn of a bird perched on a post or a pedestal in the same position as the crow that's to the left of it. What that actually is a Hoodoo Adinkra. And we'll just give you a little information about how it came about. And this is many ways that this information comes about. We were going to do a presentation in another state. And whenever we do a presentation, of course, we consult with the Nananom Nsamanfo, the spiritually cultivated ancestresses and ancestors, to find out exactly what we need to be conveying to the people. Because when we go out and speak, it's just not a popularity contest and we just want to have somebody hear us talk. We're conveying information that should benefit the Afurakani man, woman, and child. Conveying information that is part and parcel of the accumulated wisdom of over 1 million generations of earthly experience of Afuraitkaitnut people. So therefore, we consult with the Nananom Nsamanfo as a collective effort. The cells in the body don't live on their own in and of themselves. They are part of a collective. So when we transmit wisdom, it's part of a collective. Yes, a person can transmit some information, can innovate specific things, but when we're transferring ancestral wisdom and passing that on to the collective of Afuraitkaitnut people, of Jiraman, the purified nation, Afuraitkaitnut people in the Western Hemisphere, as well as Afuraitkaitnut people in general, it's part of a collective effort. So we communicate with the Nananom Nsamanfo, with the Abosom, to ask what is needed for that specific presentation. What do people need to know so that it can affect them in a way where they go back to their own Nsamanfo, the deities that govern them as well, so they can operate in a harmonious fashion as well. This is our process. So one of the things that happens with us in water, we become very receptive, and many people are like that. So you get in water, whether you get in the bathtub, you get in water, or you take a shower, you get in the water, you become more receptive because water is a conduit for energy, and some people are more receptive with water. Some people are more receptive under the direct energy of the noonday sun. Some people are more receptive when it's windy outside because they're connected to the energy of the atmosphere, tornadoes, and everything else. And people have a combination of various things. So when we're communicating with Nsamanfo, one of the ways that I become receptive is through that connection with water. So as I'm connected in that way, taking a shower and so forth, the Nsamanfo will give us information, trying to find out specifically what I need to communicate with this specific group of people that I'm going to communicate with. This is the first time they're going to hear our message. A large community of people, they're interested in ancestral culture. Some of them may have been turned on to it to a certain extent. Others is brand new. We want to make sure that information we give them is coming directly from the Nananom Nsamanfo. We're conduits. So I'm asking the Nananom Nsamanfo to show me exactly what is the best approach to get that information. They give me a number of different ideas. And so then I believe that I have the right information. Then I ask for a confirmation. Can you give me a confirmation of the information? What I'm thinking right now is this is the information you just gave. I believe that they gave me specific things. I always ask for a confirmation. Is this what you're trying to tell me? Let me know if this is what you're trying to tell me, because I want to make sure I give the right information to the people. Then the Nsamanfo tell me while I'm in the shower to turn around and look at the wall. When I turned around and looked at the wall, the symbol that you see here of that bird had manifested on the wall. What you're looking at is soap suds in the form of that crow. So my Nananom Nsamanfo fashioned that crow, that kwakwadabi, which is the symbol of our clan, on the wall in that form. Now, we posted that picture before on Facebook, didn't tell anybody what it was, and people said, oh, that's a bird. It's on a pedestal. Is that a symbol from ancient Kemet? What is it, and so forth? And then we put a picture of a crow next to it, and they say, oh, we can see it's a crow. Where did it come from? Who drew it, and so forth? And so we showed them, actually, that's the symbol that took shape from soap suds on the wall. Right after I asked if this was the right message, can you show me a confirmation? They directed me to turn around. I looked at the wall, and the form of the bird was on the wall. And so, of course, I went and took a picture of it because I knew at some point I was going to show it to some of our people to give them an example. What happens is the Nananom Nsamanfo Ancestral Spirits will send an animal totem, whether it's physical, outside, when you're walking down the street. Birds will get in front of you, jump in front of your car, land on top of your car, and so forth, or right on the fence next to you and call you, and so forth. Or they will send the energy of an animal totem, and that energetic force of the animal totem will force those elements to take the shape that they directed to take. And now that specific configuration, that geometric pattern, that form, that becomes a shrine, a matrix of energy, a matrix of energy. It's a shrine in miniature. It is an ancestral shrine they're utilizing to communicate directly with us. After that took place, the bird took the form from the soap on the wall very clearly. Of course, I recognized it to be my Achinebois animal totem. That was their confirmation to me that everything that I believed that they told me in specific was correct. Later on, I got on the road, drove a few hours out of state to go to this presentation. As I was going through the presentation, there was a traffic, there was construction on the road, and there was a delay, and at some point, we would stop to the point where we would just stop standing still. And at that point, on the rail on the passenger side by the car, a huge black crow landed on top of the rail and looked directly into the car. As I was thinking about and going over what I was going to say, since I was stopped and I couldn't move on the road for a minute, I was going over what the Nsamanfo told me when I first found out what they wanted me to say in the shower and showed me the bird. Then once again, on the road, already in the other state, and then the bird shows up at the exact moment that I'm contemplating exactly what I'm going to say in a few minutes, because I was only a few minutes away from the presentation. So the bird is sent, the animal totem is sent and takes up residence in the spiritual form. That energetic power forces the soap to take that form on the wall. After I ask them for confirmation, they tell me to turn around, look on the wall. I see the bird on the wall. Of course, I take a picture. Hours later, when I'm on the road, and they create, a disturbance, so to speak, so I'm forced to sit still for a moment. And when I'm sitting still and contemplating exactly what they told me to say, as soon as I get to the point once again where I'm consulting with them to make sure this is what I need, then the bird shows up again right by the car to look directly in the window at me to confirm what's going on. Now, that's one way these forms take shape, because the Abosom and Nananom send an animal totem, or they themselves take up residence and take the shape and make the shape itself. That symbol now becomes an Adinkra symbol. It becomes a Hoodoo Adinkra. It carries the power of the Achinebois, the animal totem. It can be utilized by myself. It can be utilized by people in my blood circle, because it carries the power of the Achinebois, the animal totem, as well as the deity that governs the animal totem, and the ancestresses and ancestors who are connected to that energy complex. This is how an Adinkra symbol is born, directly from the Abosom, directly from the Nananom Nsamanfo. another means by which the Adinkra symbols are born. When we engage in Oshwe, pouring libation, and we ask the Abosom to come down and take up residence and so forth, we evoke the Nananom Nsamanfo, invoke the Abosom, invoke the divinity, pouring the libation itself into the sand or into the earth mother or into a bowl and so forth, especially if you're pouring it on Asaseafor, on the earth mother and so forth. What happens when the Abosom come down, they will make the poured out liquid take the form of a specific divinity, or they will make it take a specific form for themselves so they can take up residence in it. So it's not a situation where we're coming up in an innovative way with a specific symbol or an artistic symbol and saying, hey, this is going to be a symbol for this deity, or this is going to be a symbol for our clan, or this is, no, you're pouring a libation. And when we pour libation, then the Nsamanfo will make what has been poured out take the shape of a specific male divinity, take the shape of a specific female divinity, the way the water soaks itself into the sand or into the soil. It will take the shape of the animal totem, the Achiniwa, the shape of the male divinity, the shape of the female divinity, or some other geometric pattern that they made it take that shape. And then the spirit of the Abosom or the Nsamanfo who made that shape come into being will take up residence in that newly fashioned geometric. It has become a matrix. It has become a shrine. It has expansive and contractive power specific to the frequency of energy of the Abosom or Nsamanfo who fashioned the form. So it is very common that's part of a divinatory practice, an oracular practice. Libation in and of itself, in some forms, is divinatory. That's just one of the many forms of divination. Some people can cast shells, whether on a tray, cast shells in water, and so forth. But some people simply pouring libation, and the shape that the fluid takes in the sand or the soil is orchestrated by the Abosom, orchestrated by the Nsamanfo, and that shape not only becomes a shrine, but when that shape is continuously utilized from that point on, Adinkra symbols. This is how these symbols take shape. This is where they come from. This is how they become shrines to be utilized ritually, carrying the specific configuration of energy of the force in nature that fashioned the shape, that made the liquid take that form, or the specific Nsamanfo, the specific ancestress that made that shape take that form, or that ancestral totem or deity, animal totem, to take that specific form. Now, this is where real symbols come from, and they have real function. So when you go back to the definition of Adinkra, and the term Adi, of course, Nkra means message, as we said. Nkra means soul, divine consciousness, a sacred divinity that has within it, wired within it, the specific function you are to execute. But Nkra also means message, divine function. But then, as we said, Adi means to consume, meaning consuming not only to eat, but consuming with your eyes to see. Adi, within the term Adinkra, consuming to see the symbolism, to see the message, to see the divine function. Adinkra, to act, to activate. Adi, to act, to activate. Nkra, the divine function, the divine message, the energy within that divine symbol. Adi, meaning to practice, to activate inwardly. Adi, the Nkra, the divine soul, divine consciousness, the function, the message. To have, to possess. Adi, to have the capacity to affect that Nkra, that divine message coming from the Kra, the soul, the divine consciousness, the deity, what you're supposed to do, what's in harmony with order, what's not in harmony with order to reject, and so forth. It also, adi also means to transact, to negotiate an affair, to spend energy, to pass time, to last, to endure, and so forth. To spend time, pass time, to last, to endure, to transact, to negotiate an affair, to have, to possess, have the capacity to possess, to act, to activate, to render, to be active, to practice. All these things are adi and nkra, activate the soul, to activate the divine message, to activate the function, to engage in ritual practice, to negotiate an affair. All these different things are wrapped up into this function of the symbols as shrine, pouring libation, the shape manifests because the Abosom makes that shape manifest. The Nsamanfo makes that shape manifest, whether it's in the form of an achinibwa or of the deity itself. Now it has a geometric form that resonates with the frequency specifically of that divine force in nature, the harmonious expression of energy, that ancestral spirit who is spiritually cultivated, or the animal totem that carries that same divine energy configuration. Now, of course, you have what are called sigils by the whites and their offspring, which simply means a seal or a sign, and they don't have that same capacity. The whites and their offspring simply imitate certain little symbols they saw with our people. There's no such thing, for example, as sacred Hebrew letters that became sigils that will call down spirits, and so no truth to that at all. First of all, there's no such thing as a Hebrew alphabet. It does not exist. There were no ancient Hebrews at all. There were no black Hebrews. There were no white Hebrews. There were no ancient Hebrews, period. Of course, we proved that in our book, Udunu, the Ancestral Jurisdiction, proving that the entire story of the Exodus from ancient Kemet never happened. The story, the book of the cow of heaven, talking about the followers of Tahuti who will follow Tahuti to the promised land. They're talking about the ancestral realm. Tahuti, one of his titles is Ma'ah, Sher, meaning true of word, corrupted into Moshe and Moshe and Moses and so forth. That entire story stolen from ancient Kemet, corrupted from the book of the cow of heaven, talking about the followers of Tahuti. When we follow Tahuti on earth, then the promised land is the Sekhet Hetep, the divine field of peace, the ancestral realm established by Ra. For the followers of Tahuti, when they follow Tahuti on earth, then they move to the ancestral realm, Asamando, in a harmonious fashion. We dealt with all of that in the Udunu, as well as in some of our other broadcasts on Tahuti and Sasha. So, there were no Hebrew people, did not exist. There's no Hebrew alphabet. The alphabet that the whites and their offspring use and mislabel as Hebrew comes directly from the so-called Phoenicians, the people of Kanana, ancient Kanana, so-called Canaan, which comes from the Proto-Sinaitic script, which comes from ancient Kemet. Every one of those letters can be found in the medutu in their original form. And the simplified form are in the Proto-Sinaitic script, which later gets into the so-called Phoenician script, which later becomes used by the whites and their offspring and is mislabeled to Hebrew and so forth. Some of these fools talk about Paleo-Hebrew, which is inaccurate. And then, of course, Sanskrit, Latin, all of these different scripts, and eventually English. None of the whites and their offspring, they never created a script. The Sanskrit, Latin, Greek, going all the way back to the Proto-Sinaitic and going back to ancient Kemet, all of those letters come directly from our people, has nothing to do with the fictional cartoon character group of Hebrews who never existed, black or white. There's no sacred symbolism in the Kabbalah. There's no sacred symbolism in pseudo-esotericism. The whites and their offspring are not capable of pouring libation, doing oshwie, and the symbol taking shape, coming from divinities, making sure the shape is in the geometric form of their energy complex. The whites and offspring are not able to communicate with the divinities. They do not communicate with them. The deities do not possess the whites and offspring, never have and never will. That includes white Hispanic, white Latino, white pseudo Native Americans who are migrant Asians, They have never communicated with them, never will. That includes crackers who call themselves Santeros, Babalaos, Pauleros, whatever they want to call themselves. No Orisha has ever communicated with them and never will. The only spirits they can communicate with are their criminal, perverse, deceased, drunk, crackhead, white, deceased relatives that they pass off as dead. They pass off these disembodied communications as communications from deities, which of course they are not. That is true today with white Hispanics, white Europeans, white Hindus, white Asians, white pseudo-Native Americans. That's true today with them, and it was true as well in the past. The whites and their offspring learning about deity communication in principle from our people through observation, but not through experience, because no no divinity, no god, no goddess, no Orisha, no Abosom Voodoo ever possessed them in the past, will ever possess them in the future. Never communicated with them one time ever through divination or any other way. So when people talk about the Sigils and doing divination for the Romans, pure nonsense. No deity has ever done any divination or given any message to the whites and their offspring. No Roman could go to a Sibyl and get a message from the deities about what's going to happen to ancient Rome and what they need to do to save themselves. Only spirit that will communicate with a cracker is a discarnate, wayward, perverse criminal, not one of the dead. So, when they're talking about esotericism and Hermes and the Order of the Golden Dawn and all of this other foolishness, and people are talking about Hermeticism and esotericism and alchemy and all these different things, what is actually taking place. They learned about certain things by looking at things in ancient Kemet, and they tried to imitate. They can see pyramids, they can see our writing, they see what we wrote on walls, they can try to sit down and draw the same symbols that we drew on the wall. They heard us speaking the language when the Greeks invaded, the Romans invaded, the Arabs invaded, and so forth, Assyrians as well, Persians. They hear us speaking the language. They learn how to speak transactional language from us. They see us writing things down in medutu hieroglyphs. They imitate the same things we're writing down, but no deity is going to take up residence in that geometric form that they wrote. No deity is going to communicate with them simply because they spoke the same words that they heard us speak. They walked up in a shrine and started trying to speak the same words we spoke in the shrine. They foolishly believe that because they speak the words, it's a magical formula that's going to force the deities to come down like a slave and obey them because they had a magic formula. It doesn't work that way. This is not Aladdin. This is not a lamp. The Orisha not in a little lamp or in a little shrine, and you have the magic word and you can make them do what you want them to do. Crackers want to be able to control the forces in nature with magical formulas. It never has been the case and it never will be the case. The deities do not obey human beings. They only obey Inyamewa and Inyame, Mawu and Lisa, Komosu and Chukwu, Katielio and Kolotuyelo, the great mother and great father. And we align with the forces in nature. We align with the Supreme Being, and then they will assist us as well. As their grandchildren, they will assist us as well, just like your grandparents and great-grandparents will assist you. If you do the right thing, then they will assist you as well. So, what the whites and their offspring are doing are sitting around imitating fragments of rituals that they saw us do, as well as manufacturing silly pseudo-ritual practices. The deceased spirits of the whites and their offspring, criminals, and you have a small portion of criminals from our lineage who we rejected, expelled. When they made their transition, somebody like a rapist or a murderer or a child molester and so forth, and we're not pouring libation, of course, to them. Criminal spirits will try to hang around the whites and offspring and try to get them to do animal sacrifices for them, to send them some energy or do some rituals for them to help them out and so forth. And all they're doing is sucking off of a little bit of residual energy. So those kind of criminal spirits, but the vast majority of those spirits the whites and their offspring work with are their own deceased relatives. They imitate little rituals. They see fragments of rituals they saw us doing, their little fragments, imitating our people. No real deities show up. None of our ancestresses and ancestors who are spiritually cultivated show up. The only spirits hanging around are their deceased criminal relatives, crackheads, drunkards, dissexuals, perverts, and so forth, just crackers in general. Those deceased crackers hanging around, they watch their living relatives go through all of these silly little rituals, putting together little symbols, drawing little symbols out, using candles, and going through little silly chaos magic and all this other nonsense, manufacturing little symbols, drawing geometrically concise angles and so forth, thinking that these have any kind of power. Their deceased relatives are just sitting back, watching them go through these empty, silly rituals. And once they finish, they're like, all right, well, we'll come over there as long as you give us something, you kill something for us, give us a little offering, we'll do a little something just like a crackhead. If you give them something or promise them something, as long as they do something you tell them to do, they don't care what you do. If you say, hey, I'm going to give you some crack if you go steal something for me. Well, they go steal something for you, and they're about to give you what they stole, and you're about to make an exchange, and they're going to give you the crack if you're a crackhead, and then you're going to give them the thing that you stole from somebody, the laptop or whatever you stole. And if they say, wait a minute, before I give you this laptop, let me go through a series of rituals and incantations before I hand it to you, the crackhead will sit there and wait for this fool to go through a bunch of rituals before they hand the laptop over. They don't care what you say. They don't care what prayer you do. They don't care what color clothes you're wearing. They don't care if you walk around in a circle 5 times. They don't care if you draw a pentagram on the ground and put a candle in the middle. They don't give a damn what you're doing. They're a crackhead. They're waiting for you to give them that damn crack. And they're going to hand over the laptop. So they say, before I hand this crack to you, I'm going to pray and do this, and then this is going to make you give the laptop to. That's not making them do anything. You're a crackhead. You can't wait for the crack. Once they finish their little silly rituals, you'll be like, all right, whatever. Just give me the crack. And that's what these discarnate spirits are doing. They're waiting around for these little crackers with their hoods on and their little silly rituals to dance around and do whatever they say and chant and dressing up in certain kinds of clothes and putting on oils and engaging in silly little rituals. They don't care what you're doing. Once you finish all that nonsense, they just want the little sacrifice. They just want the little blood sacrifice or the little offering of food or whatever, or a little prayer. You're going to project some little energy to them. They'll give it up. And if you promise to do something for them, just like a crackhead just wants that short 5 to 10 minute high. That's all they're living for, is the next high. And if you promise to give it to them, if they do something for you, then they'll say, all right, I'll do it. Just give me that crack for the 5 minute high. You give it to them, they do it. When they die, they're the same way. So if you promise a spirit, if you do this for me, I will give this to you. I'll make a sacrifice. I'll do this. They'll say, all right, whatever. Just give me the sacrifice because I need that energy, that release of energy that's only going to last for a few minutes. But I'm going to live off those fumes until you can do something else for me, or somebody else can do something else for me. I'm a parasite going from person to person for hundreds of years as a discarnate, earthbound spirit, parasitically latching on the little fumes of residual energy wherever I can get it. So they don't care about any ritual that a cracker does. They don't care about any ritual that you do if you're imitating some little silly pseudo-esoteric magic, some pseudo-kabbalistical magic, some pseudo-yantra, some pseudo-chaos magic, all this little nonsense. They don't care anything about that. They're just sitting back saying, look at this dumbass doing these silly rituals. Once he's finished, then I'll go over and do whatever he asked me to do and let him believe that his little silly rituals made me come and do it. I can come when I want to and I cannot come. No ritual can make me come and bind me to you. These discarnate spirits will do whatever they feel like doing. If they don't feel like helping you out, they're not going to help you out. And if they feel like it, they will. And none of the little silly rituals will do anything. But if you believe that these rituals are actually making these people do something, then you'll continue to engage these silly rituals. And then you'll teach other people this is the way to make somebody do something. Then you draw a little sigil, say, well, this sigil is the kind that would draw this specific spirit down. If you utilize it in this way, it's going to pull this other spirit down and all this other nonsense. And the spirits are sitting back watching you like, look at this idiot. He really believes that this is what's going to make me come. Well, I'll let him believe that because then I can create a codependent relationship. I'm already dependent on the sacrifice he's going to make for me, but I'll make him believe that the only way I'll come is if he goes through something elaborate. And if he goes through something elaborate and then I come, then he's bound to the belief that that elaborate ritual is making me come. But then one day I'm not going to come when he does the ritual, and then he's going to do the ritual. It doesn't work out, and then he's going to panic like, I did all the rituals that I was supposed to do, and it didn't work. What am I supposed to do now? Then once they become panicked and they seek more information, oh, well, now you have to do another deeper level of quote-unquote ritual. And now they get even more engrossed in pseudo-ritual and more bound to that belief and panic and worry, is this ritual going to work? And then they do it, and the spirit comes and does something for them, and now they're dependent on that spirit even further. So they create that codependent relationship with clowning people who believe that they're doing rituals to make something happen. That's what the whites and offspring are engaged in. That's what Wicca is. That's what all white pseudo quote-unquote magic is. It is nonsense. They're dealing with discarnate perverts, the same child molester that was alive, that would rob people for them. When that child molester dies, they're asking that same child molester to do something for them from the spirit realm, something very mundane. But to the average person, a disembodied spirit making something move or happen seems like a magnificent thing, especially if they've been conditioned by Christianity and Islam and all the other nonsense and conditioned away from their own culture. If you've grown up in your culture, you've re-embraced your culture, some action of a discarnate spirit is not amazing at all. It's very routine, no different than seeing a homeless person on the street moving a cart around. If you saw a homeless person on the street moving a cart around, that's not amazing. If you see a discarnate spirit who use their electromagnetic energy to move an object, and from the untrained eye, it's just an inanimate object moving on its own. If you're engaged in ancestral communication on a consistent basis and you have experience, then that little inanimate object being moved by a disembodied spirit is not amazing to you at all. It's just a crackhead moving a little inanimate object just like they moved a cart when they were alive. It's no big deal. But if you've been conditioned to be fearful of discarnate spirits and activity, when something happens, you think it's the most amazing thing you've ever seen. You may think it's the evidence that the deities are working with this person, all this other nonsense. But when you talk about real ritual, that's only connected with the deity. Real ritual is connected with the forces in nature that live in harmony with divine order. Their movements are in harmony with the movements of the forces in nature that animate the sun, moon, planets, stars, and so forth. These patterns in nature that are expressions of divine order, when we align ourselves with these patterns in nature and the deities animate these patterns in nature and these movements in nature, then yes, we can engage in ritual that is specific, that is in alignment with the movement of the forces in creation by direct communication with them. It's no different than playing music harmoniously and harmonious sounds coming out, or disharmonious sounds that sound horrible and create dissonant energy that is perverse to your spirit. Perverse vibration, collections of vibration. When you get in harmony with the free flow and harmonious flow of sound, it's a harmonious projection. You get in the harmonious flow of the movement of the Abosom in creation. You invoke them, they come and possess and show you how to get in alignment with order. Then the kind of symbolism that they put forth, the kind of shrine in symbolism that they put forth, the expansive and contractive geometric forms they put forth are precise mathematically, they're precise geometrically because they resonate harmonious energy of the deities that really are the embodiments of order and creation. That's what deities are. That's what Abosom are. So we can engage in real ritual when it has to do with actual deity, actual harmony. Ancestresses and ancestors who live in harmony with the Abosom, who are spiritually cultivated. If they're not spiritually cultivated, they will create discordant energy as well. But if they're spiritually cultivated Nsamanfo, ancestresses and ancestors, then you engage in ritual practice that's precise, that's mathematically precise, geometrically precise, and so forth, then you will generate that capacity to align yourself with harmony. Align yourself with order. Create order within your life. Destroy disorder within your life. Whether it's destroying disease within your body physically, disease within your spirit body, discordant energy and so forth, disease within the body of the collective of the community, physically, socially, economically, politically, spiritually, and so forth, whatever it is. So that's what we're dealing with when we're talking about HOODOO ADINKRA. We're talking about expansive and contractive symbols as shrines, deity shrines in miniature, ancestral shrines in miniature. So we're going to go to a couple calls on the phone line. It's almost 11 o'clock, so we're almost done, but we're going to have a couple calls. Checking through the chat room right quick. I'm going to go to the phone line right now. Ichiowo on the phone line, number 9734. You had a question or a comment? On the phone line, number 9734. Can you hear me? 9734?
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me? Okay, because I can't hear if you're saying I can't hear you if you're saying something. So we're gonna go through the
What's up?
Can you hear me?
What's up?
Yeah, I can barely hear you. Say it again.
What's up?
Okay, it's a little bit choppy, but go ahead. I'll see if I can hear you.
What's up? I'm trying to make sure if you can hear me. Can you hear me?
That's a little bit better. Yeah.
What's up?
Yeah, I can hear you a little bit better now. You can go ahead.
Oh, okay. I'm making sure that I was the individual that's being heard. My comment is, dealing with the symbol. This, I think one of the sisters you had at the Achisan conference.
Right.
Her name is Raven, and I'm on Facebook with her as well. And she I think she had posted on her Facebook page like a couple of weeks ago, about that the raven or the crow is one of her animal totem. And I myself, I have some feathers. I've been walking around every once in a while, and I pick up feathers. Some of the feathers that I picked up that I have on my ancestral shrine are crow's feathers. You feel me? So, how this it's just, the confirmation of how things line up in my attraction to those birds. And every once in a while when I'm walking about, I'll see those birds. And I remember as a little man, I used to have a BB gun. And I used to try to shoot birds. But I always try to shoot the crows, and I always seem to miss. You feel me?
Okay. Right.
As a little boy, I always remember that as a little boy, I used to try to shoot to be a bunch of them in the tree. And I used to shoot, and this used to be so big. So all this was coming back to mind as you were speaking about, this particular animal, and me seeing the sister put it on her Facebook page, and, my own personal relationship with the birds and my attraction to the birds. And I mean, the Adinkra symbols as well. I don't know even if what I did was, taboo or wrong or not, but I got some of the Adinkra symbols tattooed on my body. And then one of them is the Sankofa symbol. Another one is the Yi, if I'm pronouncing it right, Yi, Nyami symbol, and the Akofina symbol. So you seeing everything, and my experiences, with the symbolism, the Adinkra symbols, and I try, and you know, just everything you're saying basically just confirming, you know, my experiences and, you know, making everything make better sense. You feel me? Me being, you know, Galagichi and the sister herself, you know, I can't pronounce her first name, but I know Raven is one of her names.
Right.
And she
right.
being, you know, from Florida, in North Florida, and that's part of the Galagichi corridor, to the best of my knowledge. But, you know, that's just my comment. I ain't got no questions, man. Just, you know, giving a little confirmation that the culture is real and it manifests itself to us in various different ways. You know, like you saw the crew while you were driving, and, you know, you was looking for confirmation from the Nananom Nsamanfo on a particular topic to bring forth amongst the people. And, you know, most definitely, you know, we moving forward as a people. You know, yeah, my path was more of a fiery path. You know, dealing with, you know, my situations and, you know, my communications that I received. But, you know, just thankful, man, that the work that you're doing, and, you know, just wanted to comment, you know, as a representative of the Galagichi Nation. You know what I mean? I've been, you know, studying your work for some time now. You know, reading the books and, you know, spreading the information. You know, as I, you know, get a better understanding of it, man. And just, you know, thank you for everything. You know, and, you know, encouragement to the rest of the family that, you know, we're moving forward as a people to build, you know, the sovereign nation that we need to build. Yeah, man, I can say more, but I'm gonna take up no more of your time, big bro, and just, you know, keep moving forward, man. Keep bringing the knowledge and the information and the wisdom. And just on for the opportunity to give a comment, man. And that's it, big bro. One. What's it?
Medas, we really appreciate that. And yeah, and in fact, even though we were talking about, you know, Adinkra symbols, of course, we're utilizing that example because our Akan was showing that, you know, the Hoodoo Adinkra still being used right here in North America. But this is true for any Afuraitkaitnut group, whether they're Galagichi, Bon, Ebe, Juju, Hoodoo, Rigri, Wanga, Ngangan, and wherever we are in the world. The symbolism is functional. The symbols are matrices of energy for the Abosom, for the Nsamanfo, whether they're Vebes and Vodun or the cosmograms, the Dikenga and the Bakongo tradition, whatever it is, whether it's the Medutu and Ancient Kamit, same principle. So we just want people to know what symbols really are. They are functional, they are shrines, they're also talismanic, amuletic as well, but then that's on one hand, talismanic, ritual use in a talismanic fashion or amuletic fashion on one hand, but then on the other hand, as we were talking about tonight, shrines in miniature for the Abosom and Nsamanfo. So that's across the board wherever Afuraitkaitnut people exist in the world. So we want to give a proper standing. So it's not just an Akan thing we want to show. But yeah, we appreciate that comment.
Okay.
That's up. Okay, so we want to check out, make sure we didn't miss anything in the chat room. All right. So before we end, we just want to say, again, and the brother mentioned the Afuraitkaitnut conference, which we just had a couple of weeks ago, Afurakanu Ancestral Religious Reversion Conference we had on March 20th here in D.C., which is a great conference. The audio version of the presentation is being edited, so soon we're going to have the audio versions of the 4 presentations. We also posted 2 of the video presentations of the sister Kalinda Laveau, the Vodou Queen from Louisiana. She submitted a video presentation. Mama Mawusi, Ashakir, and Baba Shakir, they submitted a video presentation as well out of Ohio. So that's posted on the Echisign page, on Facebook, and we're going to have that on our website as well. And then we're also going to have the audio of the 4 different presentations that were live at the event. So it's about it's more than 4 hours of material. I think it's about closer to 5 hours, a little bit more than 5 hours of material, as a matter of fact, between the presentations and questions and answers. But all of that will be posted. We'll let you know when that's posted. We're also going to let you know for events that are coming up in April, May, June, and so forth. So keep checking with us on our website, HOODOO.com. We released the Etchy Sign book on March 20th, so that's our 19th book. If you would like to access all 19 books, the ebook versions are free. You can download them now from the website, and we make them free and available just perpetually. The softcover versions range between $8 and $11 for all 19 of our books. And then we have 30% discounts for any order of 10 books or more. Sometimes people order the first 10 books. That's $66 for 10 books. So the whole 19-book set is $125 for the whole 19-book set. That's 30% off. We also have 20% off for the first 5 books. First 5 books are $40, which those first 5 foundational books, often people order the first 5, $40 to get started in order from the beginning. So also a way to support the work that we are doing. So if you support our work, one of the ways you can support is through the publishing of our softcover books. We are working to establish a physical space for our institution, Akyiwadefo. All of the books we publish are born of our institution. All of the broadcasts, of course, the presentations we do in different cities. We never charge admissions fees for any of our presentations. We also give away a free copy of one of our books to everyone who comes to our presentations. We've given away over 850 free softcover versions of our books over the past couple of years at different places until we've run out. Like we were at the Etchy Sign conference, we only had 49 books that day that we were able to give out, and then we ran out, but then more people came, so at least 49 people got a copy of the book. But wherever we go, we give away a free copy of the book. We try to give away a free copy to everyone who comes until we run out. We've given away over 850 copies, our free softcover books, at events in different states, and we're going to continue that process, but that's part of our institutional approach as well, including the free downloads of the ebook versions of the book as well. So if you want to support that process, you can do so. We're working to establish a physical space for our institution where we will have the publishing in the physical space, and that includes employment opportunities for our people. We already have an entrepreneurship program, the Akyiwadefo distributor option. Any one of you who would like to become a distributor of our books immediately, you can begin working immediately for yourself independently as an entrepreneur. You're not working for us. You're simply purchasing the books from us wholesale and then selling them in your area resale. And the Akyiwadefo option is on our publications page. So when you go to the Nhoma publications page on our website, you will see all 19 books. You can download the free ebook versions there. You can order the softcover versions. You will also see the video talking about the Akyiwadefo option if you would like to become a distributor. And the Akyiwadefo prices, which are 35% off of the retail price. The wholesale price is 35% off, and you'll see that price list on the page as well. So if you would like to engage that process, it doesn't matter what your previous work history is. If you would like to begin to generate income for yourself immediately, you can start immediately. We need to have these options within our community when we're talking about ancestral nation building. Have options that meet the needs of our people when, of course, the pressing needs of our people is economic development. We need to be able to generate income so we can take care of ourselves, take care of our families, and so forth. And when we're talking about nation building, we have ODWIRA mind, the purified nation, Afuraitkaitnut people in the Western Hemisphere, and our Akwamu mind, the Akwamu nation in North America. We need to be able to meet the needs of the nation. And that's one of the ways we are able to do that through that process. So connect with us if you would like to become a distributor. If you'd like to support the Akyiwadefo institution of learning, healing, training, employment, and entrepreneurship. You can make a donation. Any donation of $15 or more, you have the option of receiving one or more of our books in return for your donation. So you get an immediate benefit from your donation, but then, of course, the long-term benefit by receiving the book. The long-term donation benefit, of course, is the establishment of the institution where we will expand our products and services, have employment opportunities, have classes, have all of our events at the center, as well as homeschooling activities, as well as a space for ritual practices and everything else, naming ceremonies, marriage ceremonies, everything that we need to engage rites of passage, manhood, womanhood, training, and so forth, all the various things, all the trainings that we already have, Obedima Afurakani Manhood, based on our book, Obedima Afurakani Manhood. We already have those trainings based on our book, the Bata Sasatim educational curriculum, that's 7-stage curriculum done in 7 sessions of 40 minutes to educate our youth as well as adults. We already have that training. We already have the Sankopa Juma training for behavioral health professionals to incorporate culture in their therapeutic interventions with their consumers, working with our people. So all those trainings will be held at the event, at the center, as well as classes and expanded offering of classes. Everything that we need to do within the center, that will be taking place there. So as we work to raise funds to establish that center, we want to establish it as soon as possible, hopefully by the summer. You can go to the page and you'll see our fundraiser.com campaign for Akongwa Suya, and Yerate for those who have already contributed, Yerate for those who have purchased books recently as well as in the past, and sharing the information. We appreciate you sharing. We'll be back on tomorrow for Eghua Marketplace and Yebeshi Abio. We will meet again. What's up?